Hi, good morning, everybody. My name's Catherine Pearce. I'm Innovation Manager with SNIFFER. SNIFFER is a sustainability charity. We're change makers and knowledge brokers to build a society that has greater resilience to climate change. We're also Secretariat to Climate Ready Clyde, which is a regional initiative for Glasgow City region, working with 15 partner organisations to address current and future climate risks and to build our resilience and adaptation. I'm here today to talk about a paper that came from last year, a briefing paper that was produced last summer, looking to the options and priorities for Glasgow City Region's response to delivering a green recovery and a Green New Deal post COVID-19. Obviously, a lot has happened since last summer, but the paper really looked at the possible sort of green recovery and climate resilience options and assess these against the potential for job creation, economic growth, addressing existing inequalities to really help prioritise types of investment responses. And today I'm going to be focusing on nature-based solutions. A little bit of a background around Clyde Rebuilt. So this was a project led by SNIFFER on behalf of Climate Ready Clyde and co-funded by the EU's Climate Innovation Hub, EIT Climate Kick. The work really focused on innovation to catalyse transformational adaptation, recognise the importance of culture to build broader change, and also the need for transformative finance. And it was co-delivered with Climate Kick, SNIFFER, Creative Carbon Scotland, who provided their expertise on the nature and role for culture and creative arts and sustainability, and Paul Watkiss Associates, which is a research consultancy with expertise on sort of finance and economics of climate adaptation. So setting the context, Glasgow City region is home to 1/3 of Scotland's population, with a large number of businesses and organisations based here. Latest economic data for Glasgow City region, based on the results of the pandemic, show that overall GDP in Scotland is 7.1% below its level in February of last year. And the numbers of people in the region claiming financial support and benefits due to unemployment has risen by almost 35,000 people since February of last year. The clear need for sort of reprioritisation and reprofiling of public expenditure just generally means that there's less money around, particularly for nature-based solutions. And so for Glasgow City region, this translates into tailoring the green recovery towards its priority needs and sort of regional context. Glasgow City region released its economic recovery plan last December, which really acknowledged the need to build resilience of people to the multiple shocks and stresses, not least COVID, but also climate change, and the need for significant investment in reducing the region's contribution to climate change. It also, as part of a number of different plans and programmes, it focused attention on vacant and derelict land, which is perhaps not surprising. The region's home to 50% of the sites of Scotland's vacant and derelict land register. And the plan recognises that that plan and that attention can create jobs, realise economic benefits, tackle climate change, and improve the health and well-being of local residents. By exploring the potential for that vacant and derelict land, can also focus attention to nature-based solutions as well, particularly in an urban context. In terms of other broader policy context in the area and in the region, Clyde Mission is a partnership between Scottish Government and Glasgow City region to bring together public and private sector partners to harness opportunities and competitive advantage of the River Clyde and the surrounding assets to deliver economic, social and environmental benefits. The mission has sort of 5 integrated, interlinked missions. And within that, those 5 missions, there are a number that offer huge potential, let's say, for exploring nature-based solutions based on the benefits, the broader benefits that they bring. So our paper really recognised that there are a number of different interventions and options that can help a green recovery. And again, just sort of focusing here on the nature-based solutions priority. The first one was around direct investment, so real sort of financial investment to support and finance ecosystem-based flood protection, green spaces, landscape restoration, peatland restoration. A second was around sort of policy and regulatory reform, so that sort of reform to enhance resilience. The third was around capacity building and institutional strengthening. So, where are the skills development programs to support expansion of nature-based solutions and maintenance of natural infrastructure? The fifth was around new financial instruments, and this is where the sort of transformative, innovative finance comes into play, looking at the opportunities for sort of blended finance, leveraging private sector investment, and that's certainly going to be needed if public sector finance is vastly reduced due to the pandemic. And fifthly, around sort of transformation. So really how to look to sort of deeper, more fundamental shifts away from existing systems, whether that be sort of shifts in the planning regime towards urban green transformation, rethinking land use development, rethinking measurement models. So sort of how do we get away from our dependence on GDP, and how to reform government and governance planning and policy. So the paper sort of rated a number of green recovery interventions. And again, I'm going to focus on the nature-based solutions options here. But I think it's perhaps important to note that those nature-based solution options and plans really need to be integrated and part of a wider sort of plan, a wider sort of program. And I'll go into that in a couple of minutes. But we focused on two measures specifically here on nature-based solutions. So one was sort of upgrading existing green spaces and ecosystem-based adaptation. In terms of the economic recovery and job creation, so employment, economic multipliers, addressing existing inequalities, very high rating there for, very labour intensive, very high sort of job creation. Medium for both sort of mitigation benefits and climate resilience benefits, but also very high in terms of the sort of further sort of reduced pandemic risk and addressing other civil emergencies and disaster risks. And again, this really plays out the huge sort of co-benefits that nature-based solutions provides. We also looked at new green space, again, looking at derelict and vacant land, green spaces, roofs, surface urban drainage systems, and extremely high across all of those four ratings. So again, really building an extremely strong case for how nature-based solutions can support a green recovery and indeed more broadly economic recovery, job creation, and broader sort of societal and health benefits. Just a little sort of touch on the challenges and opportunities. I think there is a tension that when looking at sort of how to crowd in more broadly sort of different elements of finance, different sources of finance, particularly from the private sector. The private sector is really likely only to act when there is the incentive and the financial return to do so. And quite often when we talk about nature-based solutions and sort of more broadly in terms of green recovery options, this is about the sort of classic characteristics of public goods. And private sector find it quite challenging to recognise the incentive and the financial return when public goods are involved. At the same time, though, it's really possible to achieve greater green impact if it's possible to leverage in private finance. The significant amounts of money that are available from private finance mean that programs and nature-based solutions can be really at scale. And finally, public finance is simply not enough on its own. So how to make it happen? Again, nature-based solutions shouldn't sit in a shell, in a silo, really building up a pipeline of projects, package up or bundle up projects and initiatives. So that helps to build that interest and appetite from particularly private sector who really want to invest in big projects and see bigger returns. Build the business case, make it appealing for business, adopt a commercial mindset, and explore the potential for revenue. Look to other sources of finance. So how to leverage in sort of private sector finance, how to build sort of innovative and blended models, and how to look to sort of regionally funded support packages for businesses of regional strategic interest. Coordinate with others. So look at that sort of cross-partnership approaches to secure and build a wider range of investment. There's many sort of new and emerging initiatives opening up at the moment. So where are they and how can they be integrated and sort of captured together? So look for the synergies and really sort of integrate nature-based solutions with broader climate resilience measures. And finally, just to sort of raise awareness and promote. There's a very, very strong narrative for nature-based solutions. And so making sure that benefits are identified and messaging is clear. Just finally, to touch on the Glasgow City Region Climate Adaptation Strategy. So this is being developed and designed by Climate Ready Clyde, by the partners, and by broader sort of cohort of actors and organisations who have a role to play in building climate resilience across the region. This is soon to be launched, and the strategy has been looking quite strongly at sort of nature-based solutions, about blue-green ecosystems, the role that they play in building our resilience, but also looking at the other side on the sort of finance side of things. So really looking to explore and establish a regional investment pipeline and adaptation finance lab that would really unlock those new investments that are sometimes quite difficult to identify, to reach out to, and to secure. And finally, just my last slide here is really sort of looking at the potential there in the sort of finance innovation. A finance lab that we're looking to establish will provide this sort of help to steer the sort of governance and hope at how to open up that kind of innovation, but essentially really how to reach out and to secure the sort of blended finance, the sort of the green bonds, and all those new sort of models that are out there, particularly with engaging the private sector, to make that kind of investment in nature-based solutions more readily available, more appealing, and to really recognise where the revenue and where the return can be gained from some of those nature-based solution projects. So bit of a whistle-stop tour there, but there's a lot of information in the paper that's on our website, and further information will be available through the adaptation strategy when it's launched, and a number of different papers and resources are on our website. So please have a look there. But many thanks for your time and look forward to the chat and conversation. Thank you.